Hello, it's a lovely good evening to all of you across Zambia and beyond. To present the main news, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: Lusaka teenager mysteriously goes blind due to unknown illness. LUMEZI MP MUNIR ZULU suspended and warned against misconduct in Parliament. Chief Justice Dr. MUMBA implores judges to be accountable. In international news, bomb blast in northeastern Nigeria kills 13. In sports news, Zambia Sports Fans Association toast to women's football acknowledgement.
The Agriculture and Commercial Show is back, bigger and better under the theme Innovation Through Technology. And as Camnet TV, we are here to transform your business through our technology. Advertise with us on discounted rates during the month of July and during the Agriculture and Commercial Show. Special price package for live stunt interviews, on-screen product placement during the coverage of the show. For more details, call the following numbers. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello once again, another news in detail. A 3-year-old girl of Ngorere Ward 22 in Lusaka's garden compound, only identified as Tenjiwe Banda, has died in unclear circumstances. In interviews with Camnet News, neighbors narrate that the 3-year-old was only found in a bin used for storing water in the house with a stool placed on top of the bin. Meanwhile, family members have called for quick investigations to ascertain the cause of death for the 3-year-old girl. Camnet News has reached out to the Zambia Police Public Relations Unit to get more details on the matter. More in this report.
This is a gathering of community members in Ngorere Ward 22 of Garden Compound in Lusaka who have come together to air their grievance over the suspected murder of a 3-year-old girl in the area who was found drowned in a household water storage bin on Tuesday. In interviews with Camnet News, the neighbors have wondered how a 3-year-old could have climbed into the water storage bin, stating that it is high and huge, adding that the lid was also found closed.
Mwana ujani mwana mungono alibechimo na muntu ngati wazonda mai wa mwana nichani kuzonda mwana mungono so ari innocent utenge mwana uja umuike mudramu wavininkirapo waikapo na kastu nichoipa china shitika sitina kondwele as neighbors so ma polisi vazivevochita vachita investigate bwino kuri issue inashitika ndava inashitikira panyumba pamene.
Others have called on parents to keep an eye on their children at all times to prevent such incidents.
In our community, we need to be very careful for our children. But my message to other women is that take good care of your children. Make sure that you're always with them, or even make sure there's someone to watch over them.
Meanwhile, grandmother of the girl, who only agreed to speak off camera, has narrated the ordeal.
So ndi matengera manzi ajatira mukamba so ali moyo mtamkicha nakambati manje mwameno mubini muone kamulichovala ina natasi wamena mevenzo washa tapiwa na trisha balikele si wangaponye mochovala mwamena atengera manzi ajaja mwana abwera naye so maiguru bakambati dekani nichuone chamene chochovala cha bwanji mwe wangenera muja mchana wafati mwana nzavala cha nzo javala chi jacket so cha brown amaigulu umumudramu muone kamuli vovala chovala chakene chaoneka kutika machoneka nchikoti so inopenda mbele mtima wotu kutipa kuti mwana ngenera munyumba mujanende chiteso chino chidosa mbela chilemerera kuchidosa so pesa manje ni mwana shuwa mwanandu.
Ngorere Ward 22 Councillor Mr. Adrian Banda has called for calm in the community, stating that the matter has been reported to the police, who say they are investigating.
Tenjiwe Banda, aged 3, drowned in a 110 liters plastic drum containing water. This occurred yesterday around 06 hours at the reporter's house in the kitchen. Brief facts surrounding the matter are that the reporter woke up the deceased around 05 hours to prepare her for school. While she went to sweep outside the house, she left the child inside the house. Together with her daughter, female Cynthia Banda, who is the mother to the deceased, they searched for the deceased and discovered her in the plastic container with water.
Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A 19-year-old Robert Zulu of Garden Compound in Lusaka, suffering from an unknown illness that has left him blind and unable to walk for the past 9 years, is appealing to well-wishers to assist him with a wheelchair to aid his movements. Ruth Zulu, his elder sister, who has been taking care of Robert since their mother died in 2013, says it has been a challenge for her as he has no formal employment currently to earn a living. More in this report.
This is Robert Zulu, a 19-year-old teenager of Garden Compound in Lusaka, who suffers from an unknown sickness that has left him blind and unable to walk for the past 9 years. He narrates to this reporter the challenges he faces just to move from one place to the other.
No kunikazi kakopa pamnea papampando so inesininga kwani so kuyendane kaidi ni makondoku bauza beve bavai kutiva vai nifuno enda toileti basi nikabauza basi beve bazanya muka bazani tenga ine bazani peleka toileti basi bazani leta futi ne kuno kunyumba.
Ruth Zulu, 26, Robert's elder sister, says her brother was born with a head condition but mysteriously became blind and was unable to walk in 2013 after the death of their mother, and she has been taking care of him since then. She also says medical reports from different hospitals have proven that there is nothing wrong with her brother, and therefore they have stopped visiting health facilities since 2017.
Number 203 piana bado chainzi chabena ya mutu chabi 2013 in this situation pena kulira kwa alikoyanga alikoyenda alikoshita vili vonse after the death of my mother ndepe inayamba problem hii. So cheninga pempeko mwana kumsunga nikwanisa kwa cheninga pempeko ntandizo yapo nkala kozi ndiye wenvutika na heavy huyu singa sevenze singa msiye kasachita vili vonse pema muona pa unika chesimpu. So ni machanja chabe mtu mapeace work so chabe koma tandizo tonenzoenda pa UTH paka 2017 ndepe wana kama tiso na pezimu problem ilionse mezofuna mchitatira mbapa chakaya bana nabo akangiyo kai futi mulina mafiti no bono zati akaendo fitting hapo futu kabwerere naye my transport nilibe kuti nende naye sako anisoenda so tinkala chabe so chabe huyu mwana sasa vera ni so chabe ukamwika pamene hapo nkala mwamene alili hapa so ni so chabe kwembekeza chabe kuti no mpase vakudya manje hapa adi so chabe time yogona futu wa mnyamula futu waenda.
Meanwhile, Charity for Christians Director Joshua Robert is appealing to Pentecostal churches in Zambia to reach out to the less privileged in society just as Christ did.
To get concerned about the welfare of less privileged people in society. From time to time, we watch them crying for help on TV and even see them in other places. But sometimes we just ignore and pretend as if we don't know what the scripture says about that.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Gears Initiative Executive Director McDonald Chipenzi has applauded the Zambia police for what he terms as police new management of unlawful assembly called Solidarity Assemblies. Mr. Chipenzi notes that the Solidarity Assembly for the former First Lady, Esther Lungu, who was summoned to account for the acquisition of 15 flats by the Drug Enforcement Commission DEC, would have ended up in bloodstreams due to police brutality in the past. He says despite the commotion, the situation was policed in respect to citizens' freedoms of assembly, association, and expression, regardless of the organizers' political affiliations.
The way the police managed the so-called Solidarity Assembly in support of the former First Lady is commendable, and that clearly shows that the fears that we always have, that we should deny people their freedom of assembly, association, expression, can be demonstrated there that they are unfounded if the police has to manage all these things properly. You saw how they were provoked, you saw how they were intimidated, you see how they were harassed, but they remained cool in such situations. So we want to commend the police command for allowing even unlawful assembly to take place. Unlawful assembly through this solidarity. But key to it is that I think we need to revisit this issue of giving solidarity to suspects of criminal offenses. I think we need to reach a point where we are able to disassociate ourselves to criminality and support what is supposed to be. The culture of corruption should not be allowed. The culture of amassing wealth that we cannot account for.
Economic Front President Winter Kabimba has charged that Zambia's economy has not made any improvement under the current administration in comparison to the previous administration, stating that 3 decent meals per day is still a challenge for the majority citizens. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Kabimba notes that it is important for the current administration not to take criticism from the opposition as unnecessary attacks, stating that everyone hopes to see the country develop. He has also commented on the ongoing investigations of former First Lady Esther Lungu, who went for questioning at the Drug Enforcement Commission on Tuesday, alleging that the former ruling party is being persecuted. More in this report.
Zambia's political and economic scene has been a hive of activity since 12th August 2021 after the change of administration from the Patriotic Front PF to the now ruling United Party for National Development UPND. The UPND has made various economic pronouncements aimed at bettering Zambia's economic stance while indicating that the party is properly stationed to realize most of its campaign promises to the Zambian people during its 5-year mandate. The Economic Front EF has added its voice to the happenings in the country. In an interview with Camnet News, party president Mr. Winter Kabimba has charged that hunger is too prevalent in the country, indicating little change so far.
We seem to have gone back to the same culture that the Zambian people condemned under PF. Okay, the culture of cadres trying to usurp the authority of the police. I think if we are going to be an organized society, we must respect institutions such as the police. UPND themselves, if that is an indictment, are guilty of the same indictment. You remember an incident where HH was summoned by the police, and there were hordes and hordes of people there. And I think 1 or 2 people ended up getting killed as a result. So a political leader always has support, and when those that summon political leaders summon the leaders, they must know that there is no way a leader would go to their offices alone. Why do you want to create an environment as if the person that you have invited is already guilty of the offense?
Mr. Kabimba has also added his voice to current affairs in the country, including the questioning of former First Lady Esther Lungu, who was at the Drug Enforcement Commission DEC on Tuesday.
I want somebody to tell me as evidence that I was going hungry under PF and now I have 5 meals in a day. I want somebody that is going to say to the nation, I didn't have an income under PF and now have excess income.
He has further urged the current administration to heed advice coming from different sectors, stating that only a listening government governs to the expectations of its people. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Independent LUMEZI constituency member of Parliament MUNIR ZULU has been slapped with a 10-day suspension from Parliament for threatening to grab the Speaker's mess from the Sergeant at Arms. Members of Parliament Wednesday heard how Mr. Zulu in March this year threatened the Chief Parliamentary Security Officer and Sergeant-at-Arms by saying there was a lot of stupidity at Parliament and that enough security was to be enforced because there was going to be a fist fight that day. In arriving at the decision to suspend Mr. Zulu, 66 members of Parliament voted in support of the suspension, while 50 voted against the suspension. And Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, has warned Mr. Zulu not to repeat the gross misconduct or face stiffer punishment. More in this report.
LUMEZI Member of Parliament MUNIR Zulu was Wednesday slapped with a 10-day suspension from Parliament, including suspension from drawing any allowances from the August House and performing any duties as a Member of Parliament for his constituency. This follows a point of order that was raised on 23 March 2022 by Katombola Member of Parliament Clement Andelike, who wanted to find out whether Mr. Zulu was in order to make running commentaries and threatened the Chief Parliamentary Security Officer and Sergeant-at-Arms by stating that she would need adequate security to handle him. Mr. Andelike further stated that the conduct exhibited by Mr. Zulu was in conflict with parliamentary etiquette and decorum, and that if it remained unregulated, it would bring the name of the House into disrepute. And Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, said several witnesses were called to clarify if the point of order raised by Mr. Andelike was indeed true.
She submitted that Mr. M. Zulu MP then began making movements simulating a boxer, which prompted her to request him to stand still and ask if there was a problem. She stated that it was at that moment that the honorable member threatened her in vernacular, translated as follows, and I quote, "There is a lot of stupidity here at Parliament. You should call enough security as there will be a fist fight here today," end of quote. She further stated that when she asked him who he would fight with, he responded that she should just call enough security because he would start by grabbing the Speaker's mess.
The Speaker further told members of Parliament that after considering the written and oral submissions of the parties and witnesses, the Committee on Privileges and Absences established several factors.
Threatening to grab the mess, which was the symbol of the Speaker's authority, he had committed grave misconduct. 2. This was the second time he had been found in breach of the rules of the House. 3. At the time of the incident complained of, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker was rendering a ruling against him, which showed that he was unrepentant. 4. He had denied the allegation and wasted the committee's time. 5. He had not expressed any remorse for his conduct. And 6. He was a new member of Parliament and therefore was still in the process of learning the rules of the House.
The Speaker then asked members of Parliament to vote whether Mr. Zulu should be sent out of Parliament or not, and according to the vote, the aye took the day, which saw Mr. Zulu being suspended for 10 days starting today, Wednesday, 27th July 2022.
The matter has been resolved in the affirmative. You, Mr. M. Zulu, MP, are suspended from the service of the National Assembly for 10 days. The suspension is with immediate effect from today, Wednesday, 27th July, to Friday, 5th August 2022.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Chief Justice Dr. MUMBA MALILA says judges and adjudicators must not be afraid to be accountable for the work they are delivering to the country. Speaking when he received a report on the performance management system for the judiciary of Zambia in Lusaka Wednesday, Dr. MALILA says the performance of adjudicators and support staff must be evaluated. The Chief Justice says this is because courts are financed by public means and play an important role in the protection of the rule of law in the country and the day-to-day life of citizens, businesses and companies. The Chief Justice has since dispelled any notion that the performance management system has been put in place to fix any individual or make the judicial work somewhat difficult and unbearable.
after the day-to-day life of our citizens, businesses, and other activities. We cannot accept that attention to results of court activities is more than just a polite gesture to the outside world. For our courts, failure to highlight performance goals and measure them would undermine the judiciary's proclaimed ability and need to govern its own affairs.
Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has instructed Minister of Finance and National Planning Dr. Situmbeko Msokotwane to request Parliament approval for a supplementary budget of about 22 billion kwacha arising from financial prudence. President Hichilema says the supplementary budget will make the 2022 budget cycle increase to 195 billion kwacha as opposed to 123 billion kwacha in the previous year. The head of state says the extra generated revenue will be used to increase funding towards fertilizer support program, dismantle arrears for suppliers and contractors, payment of retirees, and more road construction. The president adds that the resources have been allocated to benefit citizens and generate more revenue as opposed to lavish spending. He has since appealed to members of parliament to support the supplementary budget. The Constitutional Court has set the 14th of September 2022 as date for judgment in a case in which governance activist Isaac Mwanza is seeking, among other reliefs, that the action by Republican President Hakainde Hichilema to find the Director of Public Prosecutions DPP, Ms. Lillian Siyuni, culpable before an investigation is undertaken by a competent authority contravenes the Constitution. When the matter came up for hearing Wednesday morning before a panel of 3 judges, Mr. Mwanza argued that the DPP cannot be questioned in the discharge of her works, hence the proceedings against her unconstitutional and illegal. More in this report.
The Constitutional Court Wednesday morning sat to hear the petition put forth by governance activist Isaac Mwanza, where he is seeking several reliefs, among them that President Hakainde Hichilema's action to find the Director of Public Prosecutions, Ms. Lillian Siyuni, at fault before an investigation is undertaken by a competent authority contravenes the Constitution. When the matter came up for hearing this morning, Mr. Mwanza, through his counsel, Joseph Chiwa, argued that the proceedings against the DPP are unconstitutional and illegal. He also argues that the DPP cannot be questioned whatsoever in the discharge of our constitutional functions. In his petition, Mr. Mwanza is further seeking an order that the action by the President to summon and discuss criminal cases with the Anti-Corruption Commission, compelling investigation agencies to recitate closed cases, and issuance of instructions to investigative wings contravenes the Constitution and amounts to political interference in the discharge of functions by law enforcement agencies, describing the action as unfair and unconstitutional. He also seeks an order and declaration that the announcement by government through Justice Minister Mulamba Ahimbe that it had found anomalies in the conduct of the DPP in the absence of a legitimate board undertaking an inquiry offends Article 144(2) of the Constitution and therefore illegal. However, the state argues that the statement made by the Justice Minister Mulamba Ahimbe on the DPP's conduct is merely an opinion and does not in any way amount to him being biased or prejudiced, stating that if the DPP, Ms. Siyuni, is aggrieved with the allegations as said by Mr. Mwanza in his petition, she has an opportunity to raise that before the Judicial Complaint Commission and not the Constitutional Court, hence submitting that the petition lacks merit and should be dismissed with cost. The court has since reserved the 14th of September 2022 for judgment. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former Tourism Minister Ronald Chitotela has asked the Financial Crimes Court to dismiss the appeal that the Director of Public Prosecutions filed against him, challenging the decision by the subordinate court to discharge him from criminal proceedings on grounds that he was granted immunity. According to his affidavit in support of summons for an order to dismiss an appeal for want of jurisdiction filed before court, Mr. Chitotela argues that the state filed their appeal out of time after the stipulated time had elapsed, and that they ought to have made an application to file their appeal out of time, of which they did not do so. More in this report.
Still enjoying his recent discharge by the Lusaka's Magistrate Court on ground that he was granted an out-of-order settlement, former Tourism Minister Ronald Chitotela wants the Economic Financial Crimes Court to dismiss an appeal that the state filed challenging the decision by the lower court. According to his affidavit in support of summons for an order to dismiss an appeal for want of jurisdiction filed before court, Mr. Chitotela argues that the state filed their appeal after the stipulated time had elapsed, and they ought to have made an application to file their appeal out of time, of which they did not do so, further submitting that their appeal is incompetent before court as Section 324 of the Criminal Procedure Code, Chapter 88 of the Laws of Zambia is instructive, and therefore the court has no jurisdiction. However, the Anti-Corruption Commission challenges the submissions, stating that the application to appeal out of time should ordinarily have been on one of the pages of the record of appeal. However, the subordinate court did not include the same when preparing and eventually transmitting the records of appeal before the Economic Financial Crimes Court. In their affidavit in opposition to the said summons filed by Mr. Chitotela, they submit that his application should be dismissed with cost. This is in a case in which the Director of Public Prosecution filed to appeal out of time, the matter in which the subordinate court cleared former Minister Ronald Chitotela. On May 18, 2022, the Lusaka Principal Resident Magistrate Jennifer Walia cleared former Tourism Minister in the PF administration, Mr. Chitotela, in the matter where he was charged with 2 counts of possessing of property, number 320/M, valued at 380,000 kwacha, suspected to be proceeds of crime. Magistrate Walia said that the immunity granted to Mr. Chitotela by the Anti-Corruption Commission to stop him from prosecution is still in force, and proceeding with the matter will be subjecting him to double punishment. The state, however, argue that the lower court misdirected itself to get into the merit of the settlement without giving the prosecution an opportunity, notwithstanding that his defense submission was anchored on Section 138 of the Criminal Procedure Code, Chapter 88 of the Laws of Zambia. Miriam Kaemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We'll take our first break. We'll be back with more news after this break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
The Agriculture and Commercial Show is back, bigger and better under the theme Innovation Through Technology. And as Camnet TV, we are here to transform your business through our technology. Advertise with us on discounted rates during the month of July and during the Agriculture and Commercial Show. special price package for live stunt interviews, on-screen product placement during the coverage of the show. For more details, call the following numbers. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Government says in hosting the 94th Agriculture and Commercial Show, there is a need to focus on how to turn around the economy and make Zambia a regional food basket by optimizing various sectors through innovation and technology. The Minister of Tourism says in line with this year's theme, Innovation Through Technology, Technology Transforms Businesses. The government is slowly becoming automated as various services can be accessed electronically through Smart Zambia initiative. Speaking when he officiated at the Judges' Luncheon at the Agriculture and Commercial Show, Rodney Sikumba underscored the imposition of innovation and technology in enhancing businesses. Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises Development Elias Mubanga stressed the necessity to improve value addition.
Very important is creating jobs. All the businesses that we've seen here, all the businesses that are exhibiting here, inadvertently have created jobs. And we want to see more and more of those businesses opening up, more and more of those businesses creating jobs. The only way that is going to happen, and the assurance you will get from government, is that we'll make it as easy as it possibly can to set up your business as well as to run it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are aware that based on the theme of this year's show, the 94th, upon assuming office, the government of the Republic of Zambia set up the Ministry of Technology and Science with the sole purpose of enhancing technology in the way we do business. That in itself, ladies and gentlemen, has shown us opportunities beyond what we've seen before, where government is slowly becoming automated.
And we want our smaller order farmers to be part of this. We want them to come, and they'll be coming, so that we can add value to our soya beans, we can add value to our groundnuts. And packaging is extremely important. I'm sure my fellow minister there, he must have seen what I've seen. We have the product, but the finishing is not right. We can't have a good market like that. We can't export it to other neighboring countries. So value addition is extremely important.
University of Zambia Dean of Agricultural Sciences, Benson Chishala, has called for the incorporation of climate change issues in all courses at tertiary level in Zambia if Zambia is to make progress in combating the problem. In an interview with Camnet News, Dr. Chishala says this will help the fight against adverse effects of climate change, such as floods and droughts, which the country has experienced in the past few years. He notes that these problems are making it hard for the country to make significant progress towards other goals, such as those seeking to eliminate poverty and hunger. He was speaking to Camnet News after the Accelerating Impacts of Climate Change Research Africa AICRA meeting being held at the university, bringing together various researchers to discuss ways of effectively combating climate change in the country. Sustainable Development Goal number 13 compels countries to take urgent action to combat climate change, which has had an adverse impact on human lives and the environment by 2030.
My encouragement to people in training, like ourselves, is really to make sure that to ensure we have more climate-related information, and that will be by expanding the field into environmental science. That way, will equip our graduates with all that they need to have, because when they go out there, they have to fit into different situations. It is not just how the crops grow. It will be how do we find ourselves into disasters, floods, and so on.
ICRA very much focuses on supporting the agribusiness ecosystem in Zambia to scale climate-smart agriculture and also enhance the delivery of climate information services. So digital agro-advisories, digital platforms, apps, early warning systems, forecasting, all of this to really build resilience of smallholder farmers in Zambia. That's what we've been doing today.
Agnes Banda, an HIV activist, has attributed the increase of HIV infections among females to the high levels of moral decay, especially for adolescents. In an interview with Camnet News, Mrs. Banda says young people should learn to work hard for the things they want and not use shortcuts that have life-threatening implications such as HIV and AIDS. Meanwhile, some parents in Lusaka say adolescents no longer have respect for the elderly, making it difficult for the elders to advise them and are not content with what they have, therefore indulging in sexual activities to finance their social life. More in this report.
Every week, around 4,200 adolescent girls and young women in sub-Saharan Africa acquire HIV infections. In 2020, about 6 in 7 girls aged 15 to 19 were affected with HIV in the region, and more than 23,000 young women in 2020 alone died to AIDS-related illnesses, making HIV and AIDS the second leading cause of death among women after maternal mortality. Camnet TV spoke to some women in Lusaka who say adolescents of this generation are unruly and do not listen to advice given by their elders.
Nithiru kugona na bamuna ero futi banalunkumbwa bijatumizawo kambatine omuna ngana kaso paka naye bashita bwanji andogona na uja mwamuna naye babo atenga mateka sanga zo omuna na matenda basiba gonana ere timagamba kuti chani chisisebenza kondo
manje azimakolo musimuchita simu bauza bana basika na
tima bauza manje bana masikolo sibambirira makolo ungamuze so azachoka puja ndo bichita tani my beliefs never kai bajana kudala wakukava kudala.
Because information is being given, we have many youth-friendly spaces, but I feel as if maybe it's due to ignorance and maybe they are peer pressured by their friends. So with the universities, young girls tend to have, adults dating with adults so that they should maybe find money, poverty, because it's one of the reasons.
And a fellow young woman tells Camnet News that the love for a luxurious lifestyle is what is causing her fellow women and girls to indulge in sexual activities. Meanwhile, an HIV and AIDS activist, Agnes Banda, attributes the increase of HIV infections amongst adolescents to the high levels of moral decay in society.
Want to earn something, they will put their body so that it's a good thing to see something. And the other thing, just to know the morals of life. You can see that just from the dress, how women just they want to attract men.
With the coming of PEP and PrEP drugs, one is left to wonder what needs to be done to reduce HIV infections. Cherish Sibote for Camnet News in Lusaka.
This is Camnet Television News. We take our second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
The Agriculture and Commercial Show is back, bigger and better under the theme Innovation Through Technology. And as Camnet TV, we are here to transform your business through our technology. Advertise with us on discounted rates during the month of July and during the Agriculture and Commercial Show. special price package for live stunt interviews, on-screen product placement during the coverage of the show. For more details, call the following numbers. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Now in international news, 13 scrap metal collectors in northeast Nigeria's Borno state were killed when a bomb they excavated blew up, security sources said on Tuesday. 16 metal scavengers from a displaced persons camp in Bama found the bomb while digging for scrap on Monday in the bush on the outskirts of town. Bama is located in a region that has seen prolonged conflict between the Nigerian government and jihadist insurgents. The bomb exploded as they were pushing it in a cart toward the town, killing 13 and seriously injuring 3. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
13 scrap metal collectors in northeast Nigeria's Borno state were killed when a bomb they excavated blew up, security sources said on Tuesday. 16 metal scavengers from a displaced persons camp in Bama found the bomb while digging for scrap on Monday in the bush on the outskirts of the town. Bama is located in a region that has seen prolonged conflict between Nigerian government and jihadist insurgents. The bomb exploded as they were pushing it in a cart towards the town, killing 13 and seriously injuring 3. Nigeria's military is battling to end jihadist insurgency in the country's northeast that has killed more than 40,000 people and displaced 2.2 million more. Boko Haram seized Bama in 2014 when it took over a swath of territory in northern Borno and declared a caliphate. In March 2015, Nigeria's troops, aided by Chadian soldiers, clawed back most of the territory after months-long intensive ground and aerial operations. Most of the displaced who lived in camps rely on food handouts from the aid agencies, forcing many to turn to felling trees in the arid region for firewood and scavenging for metal scraps, which they sell to buy food. Jihadis has been targeting scrap collectors, accusing them of spying for troops and the militia fighting.
Cameroonians are holding varied opinions following the just concluded diplomatic visit by French President Emmanuel Macron. Macron Tuesday declared his country will support Africa's need for security as he embarked on a 3-nation tour aimed at renewing France's relations with the continent. I followed Macron's speech, and the only thing that we Cameroonian youth ask this president is for mutual respect towards our leaders, because they are elected by us, and it is inadmissible that during one of his speech in France, he made disparaging remarks towards our President of the Republic. Cameroon is also faced with insurgency in the southern English-speaking majority region, who are seeking self-independence, among other demands. Some Cameroonians now hope that France will help mediate the crisis for a better stability in the Central African country. We hope that France will really support Cameroon in this fight against insecurity in the northwest and southwest, and even in the far north, because Cameroon needs it. And it is important that Cameroon, being the leader of Central Africa, remains a haven for peace, as it has always been. Just like any other country in the world, Cameroon's economy has been ravaged by both COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine. Despite that, unemployment, instability, and lack of funds are hindering its growth. We need development. We need to build ourselves. We need to invest in innovation, in new technologies, in agriculture, in everything that contributes to the development of our country. Even at the political level, it can accompany us. Even peace is very important for us. Macron, at a press conference with Biya, said France's archives on colonial rule in Cameroon will be opened in full, and hope historians from both countries will work together to investigate painful moments.
Who did not turn up tonight.
Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto was alone on the podium to answer journalists' questions during what was supposed to be a presidential debate with principal rival Raila Odinga. Odinga refused to take part in the TV debate after accusing Ruto of trying to avoid certain topics such as corruption.
I don't think so. My competitor is not here because he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have an agenda. He cannot articulate anything to the people of Kenya. That's why he's not here. Secondly, my competitor is not here because he doesn't want to answer difficult questions. You know, he's been part of this administration, the handshake administration, for the last 5 years. In fact, my competitor could not come here because he's not the real candidate. He's a project.
Odinga, a former Prime Minister, and Deputy President William Ruto are the leading contenders in August 9 presidential poll. Given Kenya's post-electoral history, Ruto spoke out on possible election result rejection.
Accepting the outcome of the election includes going to court if you have an issue with the results. That's accepting the outcome of the election. Okay, you say my competitor has won. I have a doubt, and I will go to court.
Waiga Maure assured Kenyans that his first order of business, should he win the general election, would be to bring back allegedly stashed money in foreign countries and use the fund for development locally.
The question begs answers. Why is it that 59 years after independence, Kenyans cannot afford not even a single meal per day? Why is it that 59 years after independence, we have such high cost of living than we have had before?
Sitting President Uhuru Kenyatta cannot run again and has endorsed Odinga over his deputy of 9 years after an acrimonious falling out. After missing out in the debate, Odinga now plans to take part in a televised town hall meeting in an eastern neighborhood of the capital, Nairobi.
It's now time for sports news. And now in sports news, Zambia Sports Fans Association patron Peter Makembo says he thinks the thanks parade that the Football Association of Zambia organized for the Copper Queens was a good way of welcoming the Chipolo Polo. In an exclusive interview with Camnet Sports, Makembo states that the girls deserved the parade as it recognizes the efforts the Chipolo Polo put in the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Zambia emerged third at the WAFCON and subsequently qualified to the 2023 Australia-New Zealand FIFA World Cup. More in the following report.
The Chipolo Polo have Wednesday, 27th July 2022 held a thank you parade around the city of Lusaka to appreciate the public support during the 2022 Women Africa Cup of Nations. Zambia defeated Nigeria to win the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations third place playoff on Friday, July 22nd, 2022 with Everine Katongo's first half effort separating both teams. The Copper Queens, who suffered a 1-0 defeat against South Africa in the semi-finals, looked to finish the tournament on a high note with a win against the 8-time Women Africa Cup of Nations winners, Nigeria. The Zambia Sports Fans Association patron Peter Makembo notes that the gesture by the Football Association of Zambia of according the girls the parade is a good way of welcoming the girls.
That the girls finally, they're all in the country, and that has been my prayer to say we want them alive. We would have welcomed them in a massive way that they deserved to be given such kind of a welcoming. We have done so. Remember when the senior men, they were in Cameroon, in Ivory Coast, where they lost. On their arrival, we were there at the airport at an awkward time to give them the thunderous welcome, to encourage them, to say, boys, it's not yet over. And that really worked upon our soil. So to the girls, we would have done the same way, except that they were coming in bunches. So it made us not to move in such kind of the welcoming move. So the parading which has been happening today, we are very happy that FAS thought of doing that. They would have gone a mile further, where I would have been involved and trumpet level the roadway of where those girls they were being paraded to.
Fans around the city had an opportunity to catch a glimpse of their favorite Copper Queens as they drove through Lusaka. The Tokyo 2022 Olympic Games participants have broken new ground under the watch of Bruce Mape and his technical staff. Meanwhile, Makembo has urged soccer fans to show up in number in Saturday's CHAN game between the Chipolopolo and Mozambique.
Camp now will be playing on Saturday, and Saturday is a crucial game because the qualifiers of this two leg, they will go to the next round. So we cannot be seen qualifying, since the deciding game will be played here on our soil. Malawi lost Mozambique lost their chance that side. So coming to Zambia, it is our chance here on our home soil. Our machinery will move at Hero Stadium and stand with the kind of the pressure of the game. As fans don't have a pressure at all. The pressure is I don't know, is with Mozambique, not even on my team. The pressure is not there because we'll move in with an inspiration of what the girls have done. And I'm sure the girls will be there to parade themselves at Hero Stadium, where we shall wave our machinery towards them. That's what a kind of a person we are.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
To end Camnet television news, the headlines was again: Lusaka teenager mysteriously goes blind due to unknown illness. LUMEZI MP MUNIR ZULU suspended and warned against misconduct in Parliament. Chief Justice Dr. MUMBA MALILA implores judges to be accountable. In international news, bomb blast in northeastern Nigeria kills 13. And in sports news, Zambia Sports Fans Association toss to women's football acknowledgement. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from Psalms 23, verse 4 to 5. Even when I go through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Thank you once again for watching the news. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Bye-bye.